What is going on? Welcome to the episode. Today we're going to be chatting about how to avoid weight gain on vacation because it's summertime in North America at least, and lots of folks are excited that they can travel again, and so I thought that this info would be useful and timely. We're going to be touching on where I see folks slip up the most, where I think the lowest hanging fruit is as far as improvements to be made, as well as exactly what I do while I'm on vacay in order to keep things in check. Now, the key differences between your regular routine and your vacay setup are most likely going to be the following. You're probably going to hit the hay later and wake up later, meaning everything is going to get shifted back on vacation. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner are going to be pushed timing-wise to a degree. You're also likely going to eat meals out and or order in more often, which equates to more calories consumed. You're also more likely to graze and snack, which also leads to an increased calorie intake. Your alcohol consumption is probably going to jump up, which leads to a bump in your daily intake as well. You most likely aren't going to have your movement practice in place for whatever reason, whether it be no access to a gym, less structure due to routine changes, etc. So as you can see, the typical vacation setup has you consume a whole bunch more energy while expending less energy due to reduced movement. So the question becomes, how do we work with this setup and minimize the damage in a sense and come back feeling rested and recharged versus like you need a vacation from your vacation? I'm going to take you through a typical day that still allows you to enjoy your time off, but also sets you up to feel good during your getaway. And like I just mentioned, feel rested and recharged post-vacay because that's the whole point of a getaway. So you wake up and chances are you mess around with your phone a little bit, maybe stumble into the kitchen for some coffee and start putting together breakfast. Now, as a general rule, we want to go light on the food during the day and bank our calories for the late afternoon and evening time because that's when consumption usually really ramps up, and therefore we don't want to have a big calorie-dense breakfast, lunch, or brunch on top of that. So I'd recommend either skipping breakfast altogether because you're most likely going to be waking up later as it is, or having breakfast and making it a really light one, or having brunch and also making it a lighter meal. We want to favor lean protein, veggies, and fruit here in that order. These foods are going to satiate you, but they're low on the calorie front, and therefore they're going to set us up for success for the rest of the day. Also, having calorie-dense meals during the daytime is going to make moving a lot less likely because heavy meals lead to lethargy and lethargy leads to minimal movement. So this is yet another reason to keep things light during the day because that way we're more likely to engage in activities. A few examples of a potential breakfast or brunch could be the following. You could have some 0% fat plain Greek yogurt with some fresh fruit and cinnamon. That's a great call. Or you could do something like an omelet or scrambled eggs with some spinach and peppers and an apple on the side. Both of these meals are going to leave you feeling satiated, but not overly full to the point where you're weighed down. And you can easily order something like this at a restaurant or just quickly go grab some Greek yogurt or something from a local supermarket with some fresh fruit. Post breakfast or brunch, I'd highly recommend going for a walk and getting your movement done as early as possible because the deeper and deeper you get into your day, the less likely it's going to be that you move. So get it in early because if you don't, you probably won't get it in at all. And if you want to do your movement first thing in the morning when you wake up, hey, even better. Also, chances are you might want to explore the area that you're staying in. Maybe go for a little hike. Anything on the movement front will do. The key is that you get it done early in the day. This is going to have you feel way better. And also, a little bit of movement does a great job at regulating the appetite. So it's setting us up for success on multiple fronts. Not to mention it's a morale booster and it'll leave you feeling accomplished. Now, when you get back from your walk, hike, bike ride, or whatever you choose to do, you might be thinking, well, I could eat again. And if that's the case, I'd recommend using the same structure as breakfast. So lean protein, veggies, and fruit in that order. So maybe you decide to barbecue some chicken and throw it into a fresh salad. So something light, both literally and on the energy intake end of things. And you can easily grab something like this at a local restaurant or supermarket if you don't have access to a kitchen, for example. Now, the late afternoon and evening is sort of that witching hour because the drinks and the snacks tend to come out, and this is where the calories really start to stack up for a few reasons. The first one is snacks are incredibly easy to eat and calorie dense. And when easy to eat and calorie dense are combined with alcohol, that's a recipe for overconsumption. And so this is where you want to be somewhat aware of what and how much you're taking in, because you probably want to head out for a restaurant meal for dinner. And so we want to leave a fair bit of wiggle room for the evening time. If you've been on point during the day via keeping it lean protein, veggie, and fruit heavy, eat whatever you feel like at dinner. Have a few bevies if you want, just enjoy. Now, on the other hand, if you'd still like to keep things on point more or less at dinner, feel free to use a similar structure to earlier via favoring protein first and foremost and then working out from there. You can even add in some starchy carbs if you'd like. And as far as fat goes, you really don't need to add any sort of fat to restaurant meals, even if it's a healthful fat like avocado, for example, because restaurants already cook with tons of butter, oil, marinades, dressings, and so you don't need to go out of your way to add additional fat to these meals because it just drives up the energy content at that point. So as you can see, our general formula day to day is to front load movement by getting it in early and backload calories by going light in the daytime and enjoying whatever you feel like in the evening. This setup can absolutely have you maintain your weight over the course of your vacation. Now, it's worth mentioning that sometimes we go into vacations or weekends with awesome intentions, and it just doesn't pan out the way that we envisioned it. So if you happen to go overboard, don't sweat it. When you come home, hop right back on track first thing the following morning via these steps. Weigh yourself first thing in the morning, no matter what, when you get home. Forget about being scared of the number. Just see where you're at, use it as feedback, and move forward. Because whether you weigh yourself or not, that digit's the same. Also, either get groceries right away or set up some sort of grocery delivery because we want to make it really easy and convenient to hop back on track, hop back on that health horse post-vacation because it's really easy to let things continue to slide and your vacay just sort of melts into your home life and enter the snowball effect. If you really indulged over the course of your getaway, you might even want to do a little bit of a quote-unquote detox, as much as I hate that word. But I don't mean just drinking juice for the next 7 days or something like that. I just mean really cleaning things up and skipping the extracurriculars that you don't need, which would look something like eating solely single ingredient whole foods that you cook yourself and skipping the booze and processed treats. If you do that for 7 days, you're going to feel so much better and you'll likely be right back on track and rolling. Interestingly enough, you could use this same vacation-like structure via going light during the day food-wise and getting your movement done and dusted early on the weekends as well, because the weekends is where folks really tend to fall off habit-wise. Monday through Friday afternoon, things are routined and on point, but then Friday evening hits and everything goes out the window. So you can use this formula or structure to manage your weekend intake more effectively and potentially even yield some fat loss results. This is exactly what I do on the weekends, on vacation, or just for a weekend getaway. I go light during the day, get some movement in early, and then just sort of sit back, relax, and enjoy whatever I feel like at nighttime. Sometimes I may even lose weight on vacation, depending on the location, just because I love to explore, and I typically do that via walking, and so I can easily rack up 25,000 steps in a day because I'm moving a ton. And when you're moving a lot, you don't have all that much time to consume. So keeping busy and doing activities is an awesome two birds with one stone approach that you can capitalize on. One thing to keep in mind with the going light during the day setup is that if you find that when you tend to eat light in the daytime, you actually end up over consuming to a point at night where your total intake becomes higher than if you had just spread your calories more evenly throughout the day, this approach isn't for you. So just stick to a structure that fits you better. Also, if you just prefer to take the approach of eating whatever the fuck you want when you're on vacation and you feel confident that you can hop right back on track the day that you get home, by all means, go for it. A lot of folks have a really hard time flipping that switch back into the on the horse position. So if that's you, I wouldn't recommend having your vacay be a free-for-all. However, if you've been at this health and lifestyle game for a good while and your habits are solidified to a point where it's not an issue to get back on track post free-for-all vacay, just enjoy, take a load off, and regroup when you get back home. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. Follow me up on Instagram at N1Fitness and feel free to friend me on Facebook at Marcus Sadu. Leaving a review really helps the pod grow and reach more folks, so if you're willing to do that, I truly appreciate it. And if you've already left a review, thank you so much. Lastly, be sure to hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're using. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you found this useful, and I will catch you on the next episode. See ya.